Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Insider, brought to you, as usual, by Vanishing Inc. My guest today is Danish and does magic and is Danish. It's Mortenn Christiansen. Mortenn, how are you?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you here. I've got some fun facts about Denmark for you that you need to confirm or deny.
Okay.
Fact number 1, there is no word for please in Danish.
There is, sort of, but not directly translated.
Okay, explain the fact.
Yeah, we don't use the word please as you would in English, but you can say something like that.
Okay, perfect. So second one, let's see. Danish pastries actually come from Vienna.
Probably.
Okay. Fact 3, the dog, the Great Dane, is not Danish.
No, probably not.
And finally, and this is the one I love the best, if you are unmarried by your 25th birthday, your friends and family can throw cinnamon at you.
Yep, that's a thing.
There we go.
They do it. They tie people up to poles in the street and they throw cinnamon at them.
And why not?
Yep.
So there's my 4 Danish facts, and I think that's a brilliant start to the podcast. What's your magic origin story, Mortenn? You have 22 seconds.
Always loved magic. Somebody at school showed me a magic trick. I showed it to my dad. He told me that the biggest magic shop in Scandinavia was right next to our house, basically. And I started coming there, and now I work there.
Ah, how wonderful. Tell us about the magic scene in Denmark. Obviously, in my head, you're just hanging out with Rune Clan all day, eating bacon. Is that fair?
Pretty much.
Okay.
No, there's a magic community. It's not that big because the country's not that big, but it's very lovely. And Rune is one of my close friends, which I hang out with a lot and work on his stuff. He helps with my stuff, so it's a tight community. And also because, as I said, I work in the magic shop, so I'm in the center of all magic in Denmark.
You're the epicenter, and everything it revolves around you.
Yeah,
perfect. Perfect. You've extensively studied art and photography, right?
Really?
So I heard. In my research, unless it's another Mortenn Christiansen.
Who says that? No,
the internet said it, so it has to be true.
Okay.
What I want to know is how that study has impacted or affected your magic.
I'm not sure this is me you're talking about.
It's not you. It's a different you.
Maybe.
Okay.
I haven't studied that.
Do you like art or photography?
Yeah, a little bit.
And if you had studied it, do you think it would have impacted your magic?
Sure.
Perfect. Next question. You've recently there's another one online. You've recently won, obviously, the comedy award at FISM. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And here's what Craig Mitchell wrote on the Genie Forum. Comedy, the standout act, pure gold. Rick Merrill-esque of a forgetful performer bordering on the autistic spectrum, who has note cards to remind him of what to do. Socks and watches vanish throughout. Comedy magic that is actually magical. Who would have thought? Prize winner right here. Bravo. And he called it correctly, and you did indeed win the prize. Would you say Craig's observations about your character are right or fair?
Oh, that's really fair. I read that before I won and was very happy with the review and just the fact that people were so nice to me. I'm glad he saw it that way. And it was also weird because there's 2 people that mentioned it, but I have autism, so it's very strange that maybe they say it or write it as a joke, but that's true. I have autism, and that has affected my life and the way I perform and think magic. So that I just thought was funny.
How interesting.
It shines through a little bit in my character, which is great.
Yeah. So the whole thing about your magic character being you turned up a bit actually is accurate in this case.
My act from FISM is very nervous and I forgot and card trick, what should I do? But that's also how I am in real life. I'm very nervous, meeting new people, being new places. So that is just my character. So when I walked on stage at FISM and said, "Oh, I'm a little bit nervous and sometimes I forget what I'm doing," that is true, and which is the greatest way to hide that I was nervous, just by telling them, "Oh, I'm really nervous."
Of course, of course. How has the autism impacted your magic? Has it helped or hindered, do you think?
I like to think it's helped, but also like I've only lived my life with autism, so I don't know how, let's say, normal people see life.
Of
But
course.
it has impacted my life in that way that I've went to like schools for special needs children, children to get help and just to live life. And then I found magic, which I was very passionate about, and it has helped me, give me a purpose and something to do, and I'm very good at it, and I can sit down and focus on it, on details that maybe other people would totally ignore, but because of how my brain works, that is just something I find interesting.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to ask, whether it gave you a different
Yeah,
focus
yeah,
mode,
yeah.
to a normal
Yes.
person. I don't really want to use the word normal,
No, you
but
can.
Now, you've not released the video of your
No.
performance yet. Are you okay for us to discuss it in a little bit of
Yeah,
detail? Yeah?
sure. Not to spoil it, but yes.
Yeah. So, how did you come up with the idea for the act? Because obviously, the thought of having cues on cards has
Yeah.
been touched on by other magicians with Chad Long and Simon
Yes.
Aronson and people like that. But you've taken that idea and moved in a very different
Yeah.
direction. So, what was your inspiration for the act?
Oh, my big inspiration, and you mentioned it, Chad Long. And after FISM, I wrote him a long message. I know Chad a little bit. We write over Instagram, and I wrote him a message just saying that, like, his trick, "Now Look Here," I think it's called,
Yes.
was what inspired me 10 years ago. And just saying thank you to him, because I'm a big fan, and that was the trick that started it, having note cards of saying, "Oh, look here, look here, look here," and so that was what I then just played with for years, and I used it in a couple of competitions, and just there was just a fun way of moving the plot forward, of saying, "Oh, I usually forget what I'm doing, but I've made some notes. Oh, look in sock. Okay, I forgot making that note, but let's have a look." And then that became the script, the comedy, the plot points, and all of that, and I turned it into what is now my FISM act.
So, you said 10 years. Is that really how
Yeah.
long it's been in development?
Some of that is because that was where I saw Chad's trick.
Right.
And my act, some of it is from when I was 13, 14, 15. I'm 26 now. So it's I used in like junior competitions, and so some of it is very, very old, and it's something I've kept coming back to over the years, and so a lot of the magic in my FISM act is something that's pretty practical, and I've used for years in comedy clubs, in competitions, wherever. And then I, before FISM, added a couple of things to make it more competition friendly. But it's something I've been working on for years.
So, at what point? I'm interested in the journey from when you decided that you wanted to enter FISM to winning it. So,
Yeah.
what point? When did you decide that you wanted to take the act to FISM?
Really a long time ago, because I've always loved competitions, because there was a junior convention here in Denmark, which my boss organized, where there was competitions, and I just thought that when you go to a club meeting or a convention, you show your new stuff, and I've always used conventions as the deadline of having new stuff to show. And I do that every year at the session. I'm in the lobby, hanging out, showing new stuff. So competition and showing people my stuff has always been a part of me, and I loved every time, after every 3 years, seeing FISM videos. People putting up their FISM video of their best 7-8 minutes they have. I always loved that, and just seeing this is the best performers in the world. And I never thought I could like compete at it when I was 14, 15, 16. But always like, if I could, I really wanted to, just to be like, just if I could be part of the competition, not winning it, just be good enough to compete. And then so I've always wanted to do that, and I considered it last FISM, but I didn't really want to and wasn't ready. And then when it was going to be in Canada, I thought, okay, this now I'm going to do it. And because of the COVID, and it was postponed for a year, I was a little bit like, nah, maybe that's not my thing anymore. And then I had a very good friend, who told me, like, no, come on, you need to do it. You need to do it. You have a chance, and there's maybe 2 or 3 people ever from Denmark who has competed at FISM. So finally, when there's one that has a chance, I think he was like, you have to go. And
you owe it to Denmark.
Yeah, a little bit. So a couple of my friends went with me and really pushed me to actually do it. And because I had the act, I won the Danish championship, the Nordic championship. So I was like, yeah, I should do it. It has always been a dream. So just was my first FISM. I'd never been to FISM before, and it was amazing. And I'm still overwhelmed with people like saying nice things and wanting to talk to me, and I can't believe I won the thing I've been looking up to my whole life. So that's strange still.
Yeah, sure, but wonderful. The act is full of lots of very clever callbacks that you set something up at the beginning that then gets referenced later on.
Yes.
When you start to think of an act in that way, how do you start to build those callbacks? Do you think of one thing, say the sock vanishing, and work backwards, or do you think more holistically from the very beginning?
A little bit of both. Some of it is very old, and just the premise of the note cards and the sock and everything was the skeleton, and then the act is full of misdirection moments. Basically, I don't do any magic myself; it just happens. So that was also the criteria, that I cannot do anything that looks like magic. Because some pretty cool magic happens, but it just happens. I don't do anything. So that was the way I got into it. Like, okay, so what could I do now? And I didn't want to like use like any props. I wanted to use what I had. I had a day of cards, because that was the character. I'm going to show a card trick, and my person. Like, what do I have on me? And so it became very natural that, okay, then I can do something with my clothing. Then I can do something with the cards, the chair that I have, and then it just slowly evolved. I do something with my watch, and then it seemed natural to try to do something more, or get a call back in later, and so just slowly evolved through those criteria I set up.
Yeah. It's very, very clever. I want to ask you one question that you don't have to answer, and we can edit out if you think it's inappropriate or unnecessary. But I'm just curious, because I was shocked by it in a way. There's a bit where you flash the back of the chair.
Yeah.
And before you flashed the back of the chair, I'd assumed there was sneakiness at the back of the chair, which meant that you couldn't show the back of the chair.
Okay.
So was it deliberate that you flashed the back of the chair not having anything on it? Was that like a ha ha ha? I know what you're thinking. Nah, idiot magicians.
No.
Or not.
It was never set up to be like, haha, you thought. Because, to be honest, I didn't even think that you would assume the chair.
Oh, yeah, no, interesting. Right. No, I wasn't suggesting the character would go, aha, but just, do you know what I mean? You just, when people think you're palming a card, and you just gesture to show that you're not, do you know what I mean?
No, even though, yes, my chair does something, I would never think that it was, magicians would be like, oh, it does something, and then it was me saying, aha, it didn't. But no, the me flashing the back of the chair is, again, something to help the plot get forward. So that was just because it was there.
Okay, that's really interesting. Because it's obviously gone on for so long, I imagine that you've had many friends help you with the act. But who Who were you working with, assuming you were working
Yeah.
with people, to get it FISM ready? Who was the people that were helping you there?
I have two very good friends called Mass and Frederick, who's lives close to me and is the magicians I show everything to. Every time I have something small idea, they will look at it because they are. Mass doesn't really perform, but he's a really great thinker and knows a lot of magic. And Frederick is a really good performer in the like more standard magician way, where I like to do competitions and maybe do a little bit extra work to get something ready. So they're really great to work with, and they have just been helping me watching the act. And at one point, we were like using a whole afternoon to work out the most natural way to hold a sock with an orange. And so, because that is a moment in the act that's pretty important. So, just how do I stand naturally with this prop? So that's how I've done it. Method wise, they gave some good pointers saying, oh, you could do this and you could do that, and then I built it and make it happen. So those guys, I show everything. And then right before FISM, my good friend Rune Clan, as I said, I work a lot with him, and he was like, come bring the act. He lives a little bit further away, and he was bring the act and we'll just go through it a whole day. And I showed him a couple of times some of the new stuff. And that was very great and important because it was maybe a month before FISM needing to get like really ready. And some of the stuff I was nervous about, I fooled him like because of the misdirection, which was really nice because I was like, oh, I'm so worried this is not going to fly, and fooling my friend was great. So Rune and Maz and Frederick are some people I show a lot of stuff to because they can both see it from the methods, but also I love being around people that will tell me, oh, you flashed, or that looks awkward, because I can't see the performance myself.
Yeah. No,
So
I think it's essential. What was the hardest problem you had to solve in the act?
The chair was a little bit hard to get it to do all it does. It's not much, but it does a couple of things. And as you said, that I can flash it, and you maybe would assume I couldn't. But also one of the things Rune helped me with was in my acting. We're saying so many things about it, but in my act, my watch disappears, and I've done that for years. And basically, the method is I just take my watch off in misdirection, so people don't see it. And I've been doing that for years. And Rune was like, "Yeah, that will fly. They will maybe backtrack it easily because they are magicians, but maybe we could make it better, because we were at that point with just making everything better. How and why could we make everything better?" And this is maybe 3 weeks before FISM, I found a way to make my watch disappear without just taking it off with both hands, but using only one hand in a misdirection place, which was great because Rune was like, yeah, we can make it better, and not just settling with the fact, yes, it'll fly, they won't see it, but
yeah.
And that has just been the greatest, like, because it's really practical. It's something I use now in both my FISM act, but also just in general, because it's great.
Is there a moment in the act that you're the most proud of?
There's a moment in the act where I'm set up to call 3 different misdirection moments, where I've set everything up, and at one point I can be like, what is going on? And then 2 or 3 things has happened in front of your eyes and you won't see it. I'm really proud of getting into that moment, because I'm slowly setting it up like the few seconds before, stealing something, ditching something, revealing something, and in that moment I'm set up to make everything go wrong in the character's mind. That I'm really proud of.
Fair. Now look, you're annoyingly young and enthusiastic. What excites you about magic today? Apart from you winning FISM, obviously.
Oh yeah.
So that's quite exciting.
I don't know. Like I like magic, but I also hate watching magic, because a lot of magicians shouldn't be performers, because we get into this hobby, and then it's just natural that you should be a performer, which I don't think it is. Like, I didn't start magic because I wanted to be a performer. That came later. But I like when people do new stuff and they know who they are. Like, I don't right now do as many gigs as my friends because I'm not that magician. If you just want to Google magician, I'm not the guy. So I'm really excited about people doing stuff they know and they can and they are good at. I get really jealous when I see good mentalists because even though that's not my cup of tea, but I can't do it. It's not in my character. It's not in my it's not something I can pull off,
Right.
even if I wanted to. But still, like they can get some emotions out of people that I can't.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about the community and people doing stuff I can't.
Perfect. And conversely, what troubles you about magic today? If you could put some things from magic into room 101 and banish them forever,
Yeah.
what would you banish?
People that perform without wanting to, like, because I don't get it how it's a hobby and they like, how is that the natural step? Oh, you do magic? Can you do perform at my birthday party? Like, if I collected stamps, then what the next step is not doing a lecture on stamps. So it's weird that something that it's a hobby, it's a puzzle, it's a toy we play with becomes, oh, can you perform in front of people and be good at that? No.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that.
good. Okay. Mortenn, I'm giving you a magic time machine.
Yeah.
And you can go back in time and see any magicians from the past who you never got a chance to see perform.
Yeah.
Where do you go and who do you see?
Oh, I probably wouldn't travel that far back in time because I really want to see Tom Mullica perform, and I never got to see him. And he's my favorite magician, and I've seen his FISM act thousands of times, and I was such a big fan, and so to some point where I could go to the Magic Bar in Atlanta, that'll be where I'll go.
That's a good place to go, man. A good place to go. And whilst you're back in Atlanta seeing Mullica, do you think there's anything sneaky you do in the world to change the course of magic in the future?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, and as you're in the time machine, are you at all tempted, Mortenn? Are you at all tempted to pop into the future and just have a glimpse to see what magic looks like in 50 or 100 or 1,000 years?
No, that no, I'm not. That will probably change something, and I like being where I am now and changing small things here and there. So yeah.
Very good answer. Now, you mentioned at the top about having new material for the lobby when you come to the session.
Yeah.
But you're coming to the session in January and you're going to be performing.
Yes.
Can you tell us what you're going to be doing?
I've heard I'm doing a spot in the gala show where I'm assuming I'm doing my FISM act so people can see it. And then I'm doing a lecture, which I'm very excited about, which is me doing, I don't know how the long lecture is, maybe an hour. And I'm performing some of the stuff and teaching it and trying to sneak in all of my thoughts on magic and performance and creativity and originality and all that stuff while still teaching people the secrets, because I know magicians just want to sit down and get secrets. Just, oh, how did he do it? Okay, that's how. And then, so I will try to sneak in some of my thinking in and trying to change some magicians' minds while I teach them some silly tricks they probably haven't seen before.
Now, as shocking as this may seem, there are people listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube who have not been to the session before. I know. Can you describe what it's like for those poor souls that have never attended?
Oh, the session is the greatest convention, and that's easy for me to say because I've been there for years, and I'm so glad I'll get the chance to perform and lecture. It's the greatest convention because there's the jam session is part of it, that you're in the lobby and hanging out with people, and it's the showing each other stuff is part of the convention, the session, and it's just really well organized. And there's some great acts every year, and now I'm part of that, which is weird, I know, but still, I'm looking forward to it, even if I weren't performing.
Absolutely. Now, Markobi is coming as well, so we've got
Yes.
double FISM
Yeah.
winners, and I was thinking of doing a sort of separate event of some kind of FISM cage match where you two fight and only
Yeah.
one person can be the victor and the other one has to go away. Are you prepared to take on that challenge?
Oh, definitely.
Okay,
I'll
good.
probably forget, and he's also very forgetful and humble. We'll see if we'll remember, but I'm ready for anything.
So apart from your lecture for the session, what else are you working on? How has your world changed since winning FISM?
Personally, it has, and also I've gotten a few offers from doing stuff that I like George and Josh and Andy was very nice to come up to me at FISM and want to book me for the session, and I've always wanted to do that, so that's very nice that they got a chance to see me do something in front of a lot of people. But I've also I've just been last week to Portugal because Luis de Matos had a festival, and I'm a huge fan of Luis de Matos.
Who
and
is
he
not?
Just wrote,
Yes.
yeah. He just wrote to me like, "Hey, we don't know each other, but I think you're great." And then I went to Portugal, and we became friends, and it was amazing. So there's a few of those things where that is so wild that I work in the magic shop. I've seen all magic the last 10, 15 years, and like to research and see everything I can, and then suddenly I'm invited to go places with cool people that I admire, which is amazing. So right now I'm working on that, and I'm trying to make more stuff in English because many people now have reached out and want to see some of my stuff, but I'm from Denmark, so most of my stuff is in Danish. So I'm trying to put together some thing to put online that is in either subtitled in English or fully just a show in English and stuff like that. So, and then Rune Clan is going on a little tour in Denmark.
The Rune Clan doesn't go on little tours, does
No,
he?
he didn't. I know, but this is the smallest one he's going on because he's making it more intimate. And I've helped him, so I love doing that sort of work. So yeah, I'm working on a couple of different things and trying to make it all happen.
Sounds very, very busy, Mortenn. We are out of time, but we always finish the show with 4 quick fire questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Favourite pizza topping?
Chicken and potatoes.
Okay, no judgment. You're in a safe space, Mortenn. If you want chicken and potato on your pizza, you have chicken and potato on your pizza. Favourite movie?
I don't know. Catch Me If You Can.
Favourite person or people who make music?
Bo Burnham.
And finally, who would you rather fight? One massive Joshua or 100 tiny Andys?
100 tiny Andys.
Boom. Mortenn Christiansen, thank you so much for giving us your time today. I really appreciate it, and I look forward hugely to seeing you at the session in London in January.
Thank you. Me too.
Boom.